Dizziness. I mean, we've all felt it, right? It's one of the most common reasons anyone ever goes to see a doctor. But what if that simple, everyday complaint was actually the first clue in a medical mystery? A mystery with a conclusion so unexpected, it took a whole team of specialists by surprise. So let's play detective and follow the clues together.
And that question, that's really the heart of the whole puzzle we're digging into today. It forces us to think about the incredible, sometimes baffling complexity of the human body, especially during a time of immense change, like right after childbirth.
So, where does our story begin? Well, it starts in a particularly tricky diagnostic arena, the postpartum period. I mean, just think about it for a second. The body is already in this massive state of flux and recovery, which can make it incredibly difficult to figure out what's causing any new symptom.
Yeah, this really gets to the core of the problem. Dizziness isn't just one thing. It could be coming from your heart, your nervous system, or even deep inside your inner ear. Now imagine you're a new mom dealing with this. These potential causes can overlap, and they can even mimic each other, making a fast, accurate diagnosis a real challenge. Okay, so let's see how this all plays out in a real-life case. We're going to focus on one patient whose journey just perfectly illustrates this whole problem. In a way, she became the star of her own medical detective story.
Okay, so it's really important to get this part. Our patient wasn't just recovering from a typical delivery, not at all. She had battled through severe preeclampsia and something called HELP syndrome, two very serious pregnancy complications. So that created a really complex medical backdrop for everything that happened next.
And this is where things get really weird. It wasn't just about feeling dizzy. She had a racing heart whenever she tried to do anything. She felt like she was about to pass out, and she had weakness in her limbs. But then there were these other very specific symptoms. Tinnitus, that ringing in the ears, and something called autophony, this incredibly bizarre sensation of hearing your own internal body sounds, like your heartbeat or even your own voice just echoing inside your head. Can you even imagine? It's just a baffling collection of symptoms. So you have to wonder, right? How could one single thing be causing all of this?
So, faced with this just wild mix of symptoms, the medical team basically had to become detectives. They couldn't just throw a treatment at the dizziness. They had to dig way deeper to find the source. Or, as it turned out, the sources. And this is how they did it. It was like peeling back the layers of an onion. They couldn't just look at it as one giant messy problem. They had to systematically investigate each system, the heart, the nervous system, the inner ear, to figure out what was truly going on underneath it all.
All right, clue number 1. This came from the cardiology team. They had her wear a Holter monitor, which is a device that tracks your heart's rhythm over time, and it found something called a Mobitz Type 1 AV block. Basically, it's a type of irregular heartbeat where the electrical signals that tell your heart when to beat get a little, delayed sometimes. This could definitely be contributing to what she was feeling.
Clue number 2 came from a surprisingly simple test, just checking her vital signs when she changed positions. When she went from lying down to standing up, her heart rate skyrocketed by more than 30 beats per minute. That is a textbook sign of postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome, or POTS. It's a condition of the autonomic nervous system, and that perfectly explains that exhaustion she was feeling and why her heart felt like it was racing out of her chest.
Okay, but what about those really strange hearing symptoms, right? The ringing, the echoing. Well, the final clue, this one was maybe the most surprising of them all. A super high-resolution CT scan revealed a tiny defect in the bone that covers part of her inner ear, and it was on both sides. This is a rare condition known as SCDS, and it perfectly explains the dizziness, the tinnitus, and that bizarre autophony.
So now we have 3 totally separate clues, pointing to 3 different systems in the body. The picture was finally starting to make sense, and the answer, when it came together, was pretty incredible.
And here's the big reveal, the twist in our story. There wasn't one single unifying diagnosis. It wasn't one mysterious illness. No, she was actually dealing with 3 completely separate medical conditions, all happening at the exact same time, each one contributing its own piece to this incredibly complex puzzle.
This is where all clicks into place. You see, the AV block, that was the cardiac piece of the puzzle, causing the irregular heartbeat. POTS, that was the autonomic nervous system piece, causing the racing heart and fatigue. And SCDS, that was the vestibular piece, responsible for the dizziness and those really strange hearing symptoms. Just like that, each culprit was finally unmasked.
You know, this discovery, it wasn't just an amazing piece of medical detective work. It also teaches us a much bigger lesson about how modern medicine works, or at least how it should work.
I mean, just think about it for a second. A cardiologist alone wouldn't have solved this. An ENT or a neurologist alone wouldn't have solved this. It took all of them, cardiology, ENT, endocrinology specialists, all working together to see the whole, complete picture, instead of just their own isolated piece of it.
And the best part of all this, the result of all that teamwork was absolutely life-changing for the patient. Because they knew exactly what was wrong, they could target each problem with specific treatments. For example, a medication called ivabradine helped get her POTS symptoms under control, which made a huge improvement in her quality of life.
And this quote, it just sums it all up perfectly. When you're dealing with complex, overlapping symptoms, the answer isn't always to look for one single magic bullet diagnosis. The key is to be systematic, to work as a team, and to stay open to the idea that there might be more than one thing going on at once.
Which brings us to one last big question to think about. This one case, which all started with the simple complaints of, "I feel dizzy," turned out to be 3 different conditions. It really makes you wonder, though, doesn't it? How many other complex medical stories are out there just waiting to be unraveled, all hiding behind a single, seemingly simple symptom?